May I ask you again to unmute? I can ask you again to unmute. I am asking you again now. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always an honor and a privilege to be here. And thank you, Apurva, for your kind introduction. This is indeed a very, very important topic because at the end of the day, irrespective of your pleadings, irrespective of the way or the manner in which you present your pleadings, and the fact that a trial, see, we have to first understand two things. We, in a given trial, present our matter. First, we always start with our pleading in civil cases. So far as criminal matters are concerned, there is a charge sheet, charges are framed, and so on and so forth. But in both these trials, be it civil or criminal, examination in chief and cross-examination becomes very, very pertinent. That is how you discover facts. That is the only modus operandi to win your matter. It's important that this entire it's an elaborate exercise. I don't know how to put it better, but it's an exercise. You really have to work very, very hard. Plan your witnesses, plan the manner in which examination in chief and cross-examination is to be conducted. But before going to examination directly, let me begin by explaining what constitutes examination in chief, how do we conduct cross-examination. Now, participants, it's very important that in a given trial, be it a civil or a criminal trial, we as lawyers, in civil trials, we control the witnesses we want to summon to the court. In criminal trials, we do not do that. In criminal trials, the investigating officer, while coming out with a report under section 173 of the CRPC, it is the investigating officer who comes across with a list of witnesses, prosecution witnesses, and then the prosecution witnesses are summoned to the court in a chronological order, one by one, and we cross-examine them. In a civil case, let's talk of a hypothetical situation. In a civil case, it's a case for breach of contract and specific performance of contract. A and B entered into a contract. It's a bilateral contract. A, under the contract and under the terms and conditions of the contract, was duty bound to supply 100 kgs of apples to B, who is situated in Delhi from Himachal Pradesh. A is situated in Himachal Pradesh. By the time B receives the perishable commodity, it is not in the right state of condition. A says, well, when I sent it, the goods were totally fine. The apples were perfect. Apples had most perfect shine you would ever find, and it is not my responsibility. There was a lockdown, there was a problem, there was force majeure, so on and so forth. However, I had discharged my duty properly. This entire issue comes before you as a lawyer. What do you do? Obviously, we will say there is a breach of contract. We will draft a plaint. We will present it to the court. Now what? What do we do? As a plaintiff's lawyer and that of the defendant, our duties are different. Our roles are very, very different. The plaintiff's counsel in this case will prove that my duty with regards to the contract was limited to the fact that I load apples in perfect condition onto the truck. Let's assume that the truck has also been arranged by B. My duties are limited to this aspect. Now I have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. In a criminal case, I have to prove beyond balance of probabilities that I did my duty, and now the matter is before the court. Now the key question before me as a counsel in a civil case is, one, what all witnesses should I bring? Should I bring 3 witnesses to introduce one fact? Should I bring 1 witness to introduce one fact? Or should I bring multiple witnesses to introduce multiple facts? Now, what is a fact in issue? Zia sir, have they studied these concepts called pertaining to facts in issue and issues under the evidence?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Basic concept is clear.
Now, what is a fact? We will also discuss during the course of our presentation today how even a blind man or a woman can be a witness. Because what is a fact? A fact under the Evidence Act is anything which is capable of being perceived by your senses. That becomes a fact. Now, how do we introduce fact in the civil case that I just introduced, the hypothetical case which I just introduced? Participants, it is very, very important that we do not bring multiple witnesses to introduce one fact. That always leads to unambiguous, vague outcomes. Then every fact is deteriorated by the defendant counsel. Now, let's say I introduce A's case, I introduce D to highlight that when the apples were being transported, the apples were in a perfect shape and health. The apples were totally done as per the customary practices which are prevalent in the business, in the market. D testifies in the affidavit. Now, evidence can also be presented by an affidavit. There can be an examination in chief as per section 137 of the Indian Evidence Act. If you study section 137, it defines examination in chief. The examination of a witness by the party who calls him shall be examination in chief. Now, examination in chief can be done, participants, through open-ended questions in a court. Now, let's say I invite the witness to the court. This cup of tea I will have during the course of this presentation, let's say, is D. D comes to the court. Either ways, as a plaintiff, order 16 is very clear, CPC. You can invite witnesses with their evidences being tendered in the form of an affidavit. You can draft an affidavit. Your lawyer can draft an affidavit that I was present on the scene when the documents were being loaded, so on and so forth. Alternatively, if the witness is a neutral witness, there are two witnesses. You have to, if I'm going too fast, you may prompt me. I will try to go a bit slowly. There are two sets of witnesses in a given civil trial also. Participants, the first set of witnesses are those witnesses who you may directly control or invite, those who work with you. Let's say the plaintiff's servant. There is a master servant liability under the contract. The plaintiff's servant who was present on the scene where the apples were being loaded to the truck is a witness who is under our control. The witness will voluntarily come before the court. He will volunteer in such situations. You may very well get an affidavit. Witness will state all the facts and the affidavit will be supplied to the opposite party. Based on the content of the affidavit, the other party will directly come to the court and cross-examine the witness. This is scenario number one. Now, in scenario number two, there will be a neutral witness. You may also understand the credibility of neutral witnesses will be on a higher pedestal. The credibility of a neutral witness will have a better probative value in terms of evidence than those witnesses who belong to me. The other party can simply go and say that this is an interested witness, this is a hostile witness. Now, let's say that party who habitually loads all these apples on the trucks for everyone. There is no reason for this person, third person who's a neutral person, to lie in my favor. There is absolutely no reason for this third person to lie. Hence, this third person will now be called as a neutral third party witness. Now, obviously, in this situation, you may not be able to retract or receive an affidavit by way of evidence. So in such situations, what you want to do is you want to write their name in the list of witnesses you want to summon. The way procedurally it works is under Order 16, Rule 1(3), you summon witnesses. The witness will then come to the court. Now, as a counsel, I will invite D, the cup, to the court. The witness D is now present in the court. How do I examine somebody in chief? Student, it's a very, very important aspect. First, we all learn it till our last breath. You go to a court, you practice, you learn through practice. One, you can also learn through vicarious experiences, and that is what I'm trying to do today. In a given examination in chief, the court is expecting you not to lead the witness. I cannot make the witness speak what I want to hear. The only option available to me under section 137 of the Indian Evidence Act is to put open-ended questions. Let's say this third person, the neutral person who was standing while the apples were being loaded or helped us load the apples, let us think of certain questions that I can put to this third party neutral witness. I will first ask, what do you do? It's an open-ended question. What is the nature of your work? Can you please describe the nature of your work? I am trying to, it's a step-by-step procedure. You build the credibility of your own witness in examination in chief. How many years have you been loading the apples for? Can you please tell the court? Can you elaborate on your work experience? He will go on to brag, I've been working for the last 20 years, so and so forth. I've worked with 100 companies. You are putting open-ended. Can you tell me what happened on 27th June 2020 when the apples were being loaded? He will describe. This is an open-ended question. Enable the witness to tell or present the facts before a given court. That is what you are doing. Now, in this situation, you present the case, the witness presents the case. The witness has now narrated the entire story, the entire factual metrics at his disposal before the court at large. The statements get recorded in the computer. Now, the opposite party in the cross-examination will put leading questions. Leading questions are very, very important in order to cross-examine given witnesses, students. How does it work? I will put multiple questions. How was the day? Was there a traffic jam that day? Do you think that the apples were not fresh? Is it correct that the apples were not fresh? Is it true that when you load apples onto a truck, do you check every apple? Is it possible for you to check every apple when you load it on the truck? Yes or no? Is it correct or not? If obviously, if the answer flows no, it's not possible for me to check every apple which is loaded onto the truck. You know that the witness has now, the credibility of the witness is over. It's finished. The plaintiff was trying to establish his duty by highlighting that when the apples were loaded onto the truck, the apples were in the perfect shape, perfect condition, and there was nothing wrong with the apples or the quality of the apples. But I, on the contrary, as the counsel for the defendant, will have to prove otherwise, that the apples when they were loaded were not in the right. Let's say there is a quality check over there. You will call expert witnesses. We will also discuss expert witnesses. Now, this example, this anecdotal hypothetical illustration was to give you an insight into what is examination in chief and cross-examine. Am I clear so far? Are there any questions at this stage? Because then we will move on to some technical aspects of examination and examination in chief.
Anybody having any question can ask me, and I will ask to sir. So you can drop a message while sir was speaking, so that I can ask you, sir. Right?
Any questions at this stage? So far, so good.
Sir, Shivangi is asking, sir, can you please repeat about blind witness?
Even a blind person can be a witness. That is how I started. See, anybody who may perceive a fact is a blind witness. Anybody, any person who's capable of perceiving a fact becomes a witness. Now, people ask me, how can and what is the purpose of introducing a blind witness? Now, let me give you an example at my disposal. Here, I'm drinking this tea. There's a tea in this cup. Let's say I'm unable to see, I'm blind. There is a provision in the Indian Penal Code which punishes the sale of obnoxious food, participants, and especially Shubhangi, to answer your question. If I'm drinking this tea, let's say I'm unable to see, I drink this tea, I'm able to taste it. I feel that the food, that the drink or the tea that I just tasted is obnoxious in nature. Don't you think I am a competent witness to tell the court? Therefore, anybody, anything which is capable of being perceived becomes a fact, and any witness who perceives this becomes a witness. So anybody can be a witness. You may be surprised with the kind of witnesses we have in the courts every day. As we move on, I will also discuss vulnerable witness courts and the kind of witnesses that we examine in POXCO and other special trials. I have conducted many special trials under various codes. I am very soon going to defend somebody under certain special laws which have recently been brought into the rule of law. But I hope this answers your question. So we may move on.
Yes, the next question is from Ajit. Can a neutral person submit an affidavit to state his fact?
There is absolutely no bar under the CPC. If you go through Order 16, there is no bar. Zia sir would know better, but I personally feel there is absolutely no bar. But if a neutral person submits an affidavit, it shows that there was some prior meeting of mind or discussion. I would discourage such practice. To show neutrality, one has to act neutral. That is the cornerstone of neutrality.
Exactly.
And that is what I perceive has to be considered. Next question, sir.
Next question is from Nitin Gupta. Why there should not be a multiple witnesses to prove a single fact? Is it a general rule?
Very
to
good
be
question.
followed?
Very good question. See, I am not saying this is the litmus test, but imagine if there are two witnesses introduced for one basic fact. Let's say you divide the entire narrative into 5 different set of facts. Apples being plugged down, apples being loaded onto the containers, then the apples being loaded onto the truck. If you have 2 witnesses, one is 70-year-old and the other one is young and dynamic like Zia sir. Now in this situation, the 70-year-old may not be able to recollect appropriate facts, and there may be contradictory statements with regards to the same fact. You want to appreciate this aspect, students. Now, what do? Let's say the defendant's counsel, while cross-examining, questions the young and dynamic Zia sir, what was the quality of the apple? What was the condition when the apples were being loaded? How long did the truck stand over there? What was the time when the apples got loaded? Where did you carry these apples from? So on and so forth. May also turn into some scientific quest to see how long can the apple survive in that climate and all. Now the similar questions when put forward, how many people loaded it? Now let's say the 70-year-old person, due to the age and other psychological and medico-legal issues, may not be able to recollect similar facts and may say that this never happened, or when the apples, to the best of my knowledge. So what you are basically doing is choose your best witness. If you bring multiple witnesses with regards to one fact, then you are very possibly going to get paradoxical answers from multiple witnesses. Now in common parlance, in criminal cases, when we have 5 witnesses, let's say, testifying that A was present on the crime scene with a gun. Now, most of them will turn out to be very over smart because they've been briefed very well by the prosecution. I will ask them, what was the color of the shirt worn by the accused? One will say black, the other will say yellow, the other will say white. How long was he standing? In one of the trials I conducted last year, let me give a nice example. There were 2 witnesses with regards to the fact that while shooting A, B was standing at a distance of around 300 meters. Both of them said the same thing in their examination in chief. And we make it a point to conduct the cross-examination of both such witnesses on the same day. Otherwise, the other witness is going to be briefed by the witness and then it's going to be a problem. No matter, we have got courts functioning till 9 p.m. for this purpose, 8 p.m. We don't let the trial finish. It's very important. It's very key. You have to be a very smart defense attorney. One says I was a witness. It was a cold day of January 2015. I witnessed. I'm very clear. I question him. Do you wear glasses? No, I don't wear glasses. I was 6x6. I can see stars. I can tell you all the stars. Witness is acting over smart. Hyper witness. It's the witness is like, I can totally see International Space Station. I can see the stars. I can see the galaxy with my eyes. I am okay. I'm with the witness. I'm boasting the witness. Wow. You have a Hubble telescope inside your eyes, you can see anything. The witness is very happy. And the witness is like this, before the court. I saw the crime happen. He's the criminal. This is the criminal. That is the criminal. I go to the court with a newspaper and a news report that on same day when the alleged crime happened, the visibility was reduced to 50 meters due to smog. The witness says that I was standing around 300 to 350 meters. I show him the newspaper. I said, I understand you have a Hubble space telescope. In your eyes, you can see galaxies also, you just stated. कहता वो तो दिखता ही है सर, वो तो दिखता ही है, मिल्की वे तो दिखता ही है, वो तो acting over smart. I said, but is it possible that you override science when the visibility and you put questions about light? What was the state of lightning in that area? By visibility के लिए you need light. There was no light. You go to the area. You watch all these movies, but being a criminal lawyer, you should always personally go to the crime scene. I always do it. I make it a point. I always visit the crime scene. There are many ways of visiting the crime scene. This is a matter of secrecy, and this is also being recorded. But I'm sure once the fluids and all the crime scene has been dismantled, you can always go there for cues, and you can collect and imagine your own questions and all. Now, what do we do? The witness tells me, even if the visibility was low, I saw it. I said, do you override signs? Visibility is 50 meters. The prosecutor is going mad at me. I'm doing this. I object. The judge is like, okay, this is a scientific question. One has to be examined on this aspect. Then I said, if the visibility was 50 meters, 13 flights could not land that day because of poor visibility. Are you still very sure that from a distance of 300 meters, you were able to see the color of his shirt? You were able to figure out the type of gun? Because see, smart and hostile witnesses, they will remember peculiar facts which nobody can remember. A naked eye cannot. But tutored witnesses will always remember. So you ask all these questions that a tutor witness will boast their knowledge. Do you remember the kind of gun? हाँ सर कट्टा था, उसके अंदर ये था, गोल्ड का नीचे वो लगा हुआ था, वो था, ये था. Okay, fair enough. He has contradicted science also, that my visibility is still galaxies. I said you will be sent to NASA very soon while the witness was leaving. Now comes the second witness. Second witness was standing outside. This witness said that there was no smog that day. I could see everything very clearly. Forget this thing. The other witness acknowledged. The other witness was a bit okay. He acknowledged that there was smog. I could not see very clearly, but I am pretty sure. I said, are you pretty sure? Or are you very sure? Or are you confirmed? See, as a trial lawyer, you have to get into the semantics. Words which have come out of the witness's mouth. He said, I'm pretty sure. Then I got into the meaning of pretty sure. Pretty sure means you are not 100%. Am I correct? He said, yes, I am not 100%. Then again, the visibility part and the newspaper part came and the witness turned completely hostile. The witness said, I don't remember. See, I have been told by the investigating officer to say this. Acquittal. That's it. This is where you hit the nail. You have to, participants, not only question a witness about their memory, about these aspects. You have to do a scientific research. It's a quest. You go to the crime scene. Do it. That's how you go on to become a leading counsel. Now, my luck has been that for last 2.5 years, I've been with Delhi Police training. So I go there, I teach them at the same time, I learn from them as well. So I've been lucky that way, and that is why I'm trying to, share my experiences with all of you. Now this happens. So now see how the other witness ruined the prosecution's story. Wouldn't it have been perfect if the witness, only one witness was introduced by the prosecution to basically highlight that fact which I was just talking about? It would have been better. I hope this example, this anecdotal illustration answer your question.
Sir, next question is from Navpreet. Navpreet is asking, sir, in cross-examination, we see that the adverse party tries to satisfy on behalf of witness by putting words in witness mouth. How to deal with that? Can we object this?
Sir, somehow I couldn't hear it properly. When people are tutoring the witness.
Actually, they are saying that during cross-examination, the advocate tries to put words into the mouth of a witness. How to deal with that?
You have to be exceptionally bold, participants. Criminal practice or practice is not meant for you if you have a weak heart. You have to fight. You have to fight for your client. You have to fight in the interest of justice or whatever you are doing in the court, be it a defense lawyer or anything. If you give up, you have to object consistently. You have to make sure that whatever is being noted down. See, there have been multiple tactics lately which have come across, which is not uniform. And I would also say that the things that I tell you are not applicable on everyone. Since this will also go on YouTube, this caveat is very, very important. I think most of our courts have functioned in very, very ethical manner and everybody knows their duty properly. But so far as certain illustrations are concerned, there are cases where there are, very nami grami counsels or some aggressive lawyers who will try to insert words into. मैं कह रहा हूँ ना, आप करो इस चीज को, do it. You have to object. This is not how you intimidate a witness. We don't let this happen. I am ready to fight anyone for that matter. I will also share my experience in very, very interesting matters which have been reported in news media in a while. But participants, it's very important that you note what is tutoring the witness, what is trying to put words into the mouth of a witness, and you object before the presiding officer. And let me tell you, our courts are exceptionally well in discouraging such practices. Our courts are exceptionally well. No presiding officer, to my knowledge, will ever allow this kind of a conduct to prevail in their courts. This is not going to happen. This is not the way. And it doesn't work this way. So while talking to you participants, I'm also getting video call from Mr. Kapil Sankla. He will be with you tomorrow. Or I will call him back in a while. So this is how it is done. And I hope this answers your question, but object. If the presiding officer, there have been some instances, very rarely so. And sir, I personally feel between, as an academician myself, I have a very strong academic heart. I personally feel technology is very good. But the minute technology records us, our academic freedom is hindered. For utmost academic freedom, I'd never allow recordings to happen, in real life, or because then you can't share certain examples which you would otherwise share. And see, saying this alone puts me at a big risk, but I will share it anyways. Unfortunately, there was once an instance where I felt that a witness, a female witness, and her modesty was being outraged by a lawyer by putting stupid questions. You know how we tend to do it at times, and the presiding officer was a mute spectator. In that case, I told, not requested. Otherwise, I will always request. I'm a counsel. See, my duty is to ultimately request. And that is what we do in common parlance. We request. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I am just finishing a Zoom meeting. Can I call you after that? Hello? Right, sir. Sir, let me give you a call back after a meeting. सर अर्जेंट है तो सर वही है जो जिया सर वाली है ना, जिसमें कल आप आ रहे थे, वो मेरा सेशन अभी चल रहा था. मैं करता हूँ. राइट. वो एक्चुअली सर इज कॉलिंग अगेन एंड अगेन, सो आई थॉट आई विल आंसर. आई डोंट नो व्हाट हैपेंड. आई एम सॉरी. सो I told the bench, I said, if this is the kind of conduct which will prevail, I'm sorry, I will have to go to the High Court under 482. You mark my objection, but this is not going to continue. The other counsel, I will go to the Supreme Court. I will do this. You are trying to intimidate. I have also seen some counsels, they act over smart. So while trying to object, they tell the witness what to do. While trying to make their objections, that this is not the way, he was not supposed to ask this. This is the question. This is the answer. No, the witness is led by these are tactics which you understand through experience. I make it a point that you will only object once the witness has answered. If you object once my question is put, I will not allow you inside this room. You have to make your reputation. You have to become a no-nonsense counsel. Participants, this is the only way to flourish. Otherwise, one can't. So, this is the only way out. I'm sorry, I've been distracted by. No, unfortunately, I've been out of station for something, so it's a bit. And I just got back like half an hour ago. Now, going back to sir, is there any question before we go back to most important part of trials? Sir, and I hope time is not a problem. It's no problem with me.
Sir, you can go with the session, and whatever the question is coming, we'll ask later on also.
Okay, fair enough. Now, participants, it's very important. Now, so far as the civil trials were concerned, you got a brief insight how to introduce, and I think I answered your questions about introducing one witness for one fact and the importance of this entire dilemma that I just shared with you. Participants, in a criminal trial, the stakes are completely different. In a criminal trial, let's say there is a case for attempted murder, or there is a case for murder, homicide, be it culpable homicide, whatever. There has been a dead body which has been discovered somewhere. What do we do in this situation? As a defense lawyer, you will receive a charge sheet. It's a huge charge sheet, 173 CRPC. There are multiple documents, list of witnesses. Then there are, 10 witnesses, one investigating officer, 3 crime scene witnesses, 5 witnesses from this. There will also be an expert witness, one doctor. There will be one doctor as well. What do you do? As a counsel, you are not an expert. As a counsel, you know the law, you know the facts. You may claim to have minor expertise on these subject matters. You may know how medical jurisprudence function, but you are not an expert. But in this trial, there will be an expert witness also to testify. Let's say certain fingerprints were recovered from the crime scene, the DNA has been found, it's a rape matter or anything of that kind. There are experts which are involved. Now, in a given trial, examination in chief is always conducted by the prosecution, public prosecution. In certain trials, the prosecution can also be conducted by private lawyers after taking the leave of the court under section 21 clause 8 of the CRPC. There are other provisions as well. The magistrate trials are very, very clear. In sessions, there is no question of a private attorney conducting a prosecution. But so far as trials before a magistrate court is concerned, Zia sir will know the technicalities better. I think Zia sir, it was also 361 or what? There was a provision which 301 or 2 of CRPC, which gets into this aspect again. So 21 clause 8 and then 300 and 301 and 2 and all. Now, students, it's very important that you first sit with the charge sheet. You analyze how to break these testimonies. You read the statements. A given criminal trial will have 161 statements, 164 CRPC statements. What is a 164 CRPC? When the victim goes before a magistrate, get their statements recorded. This is 164 CRPC. In a 161 statement, participants, the statements have been given by a witness. They have been recorded by the investigating officer, got signed. There are also certain seizures which have been done. Again, 1 hour is too less. We can probably have this session for 10 days if we were to get into the details. And I urge Zia sir to have more of such seminars and classes to have these aspects elaborated in its with its due respect. Every topic is very, very significant. Collection of evidence and all, because these are all integral parts of examination and cross-examination. The subject matter of my discussion today. Really understand 2 things over here. One, once you break the charge sheet, once you read the charge sheet, there will always be an expert witness. You keep that expert witness aside. I will discuss how we examine or cross-examine the expert witnesses. Read the 161 statements. First, you come out with a list of contradictions. Make small contradictions very, very vocal in a given trial. Let's say 5 witnesses say minor contradictions here and there. Courts often tend to ignore these minor contradictions, but you have to note this. 1. We will now first see how we cross-examine an expert witness. You may all want to note these points. Now, the experience that I'm going to share with you comes from Court of Appeal judge. My mentor in this regard was Justice Patrick Haley. Justice Patrick Haley is the present Court of Appeal judge of Canada. He was my professor and mentor at McGill University. We were just 5 of us studying from him. I have always followed his principles in examination. While cross-examining participants, expert witness, you always hit the credibility of expert witness by questioning their understanding of science. You start by questioning their experience. You start by questioning their involvement in the process. You question their involvement in the process. You question, did you physically conduct this post-mortem yourself? Were you present there? Who else signed this? These are certain questions which you have to start with. You have to put these questions. Moving on. Then the expert witness will testify. Then you put forward questions pertaining to their expertise, their degrees. Tell them to bring their degrees, MBBS, MD, whatever degrees they have in their possession. In some of my cases, it has surfaced that the expert could not find or locate their MBBS degree only. Imagine. When the expert was unable to produce the MBBS degree, a FIR was registered against the expert. That how did you become an expert? You are working in a government hospital. Then the matter went on a different shift only, and it's a very different world altogether. But this has happened in certain cases. Now, then you put questions on their experience. Now, in a 409 matter, I was doing a very, very interesting matter. This was reported in Times of India, Hindu in 2016. A bank manager was accused of some 17. A bank manager during demonetization was accused of certain siphoning of funds and so on and so forth. Now, one expert who claimed to be an expert from the UCO Bank and Reserve Bank of India came to the court to testify that this is how we deliver money. This so-called expert. First, students always remember, no expert needs a degree to be labeled as an expert. Even experience can give you expertise. That is what we learn. This expert comes to the court. He says, this. I ask him, is this the first? Is it true that this is the first of a kind matter that you have done in this regard? You don't have any previous experience in such matters? Because I knew the case was very unique. There were fresh allegations on a very conspicuous bank's manager. Participants, let me tell you, the expert did not take even a second in acknowledging that this was his first matter. Irrespective of his expertise, I proved that the credibility of the witness was low. This witness has been specially introduced. The witness is new to the given trial. Then I questioned his degrees. Then I questioned his experience. Then I questioned him, who met you for what. You show how the investigating officer played a prominent role in the conclusion that expert derived. Now, participants, please understand that there have been so many cases. In one of my cases, there was a witness, prosecution witness. The nose used to bleed very often. There was a history of nose bleeding, ENT bleeding. This so-called person, after getting slapped, allegedly getting slapped by a neighbor, went to the All India Institute of Medical Science to claim that I have got a blow on my head, this is attempt to murder, so on and so forth. Doctors will only record the symptoms which have been explained by the patient who comes to the hospital, and that gets recorded. I questioned the expert, is it true that these symptoms were told to you by the investigator, by the victim himself, and not your findings or conclusion? Most importantly, I'm emphasizing, I'm literally shouting, and the other people of the vicinity are also learning while you are learning. Participants, most importantly, you put alternative hypothesis. Is it true that the nose could have bled due to the heat wave outside? Is it true that this could have been the history of the victim? When you put alternate hypothesis to the experts, I know most of these experts, they don't want to come to the court. They are, if not scared of the court, not very, used to the court environment, and they will tell you that yes, these are observations based on the facts which have been disclosed to us. This is how you impeach the credibility of an expert witness participant. There are so many different types of trials. I've done trials for, terrorism related offenses, for POXCO and many other offenses. I've learned about these aspects from the officials of Delhi Police. In a vulnerable witness court, what is a vulnerable witness court? Under POXCO, the victim is a minor. There is a room full of computer TV screens. There will be a big screen here, and that screen will. Let me give you an example. So let's say, sir, do you see this? Now, in that way, I will sit before a screen like this. This is where I sit. This screen is before me. The victim is sitting on the screen that you see before me. Now, when the victim sits on the screen, participants, I put questions on to the screen. It's a very different world altogether. I am not putting my questions to a physical world. Now, right next to the screen is sitting the judge, sessions judge. With the victim in the room is sitting a psychologist. Imagine the kind of people who are sitting over there. I will first put the question to the judge. The judge will interpret the question. If it's if it's very bad, if it can have a psychologically damaging effect on the victim, the judge will rethink the question. Then the judge will now put the question to the child psychologist who's sitting in a different room. Then the child psychologist will reinterpret कि नहीं ये question थोड़ा damaging हो जाएगा, मैं इसको ऐसे नहीं. आपकी 2 layer protection के बाद आपका कई वकील होते हैं insensitive, उनका क्वेश्चन इतना घटिया होता है कि वो actually refine होना बनता है. We have such vulnerable victims, उनसे आप फालतू के सवाल नहीं पूछ सकते कि आप रात को मूवी देखते थे, नहीं देखते थे, इकट्ठे होटलों में चेक इन करते थे, बला इस तरीके की चीजें बड़ी कॉमन होती है. You have to understand this. Now participants, in one of my trials recently, there was a question, Section 8 POXCO. The allegations against the boy was that he tried to kiss me. He tried to. There was a lot of controversy about trying and untrying. That he tried to do this, he tried to do that. He confined me in a given room. Do that. I put a question to the 15, 16-year-old girl that where did he kiss you? Because see, POXCO under Section 29 and 30 of the Act is a strict liability code. It's a strict liability offense. The burden of proof is on the defense to prove their innocence. It's a judge comes to me, Mr. Counsel, Mr. Vaishesh, I understand you are very sensitive to these things, but do you think this is a right question? Our culture is very different. We don't kiss this way. This is not the question. I said, sir, with all due respect, I don't think kissing on the cheek is devoid of our culture. We live in a metropolitan. This is not, some other place where we would. I will have to get the interpretation of sexuality out of the victim. What is sexuality? Because I perceive that a casual cheek on the kiss does not ipso facto implies sexual. But again, the code is against me. The code says the interpretation of the victim matters. Nothing else matters. Your interpretation कि ये तो मेरा बच्चा था, हमने प्यार कर दिया. No. What matters is the interpretation of the touch with the victim. I said, okay, we'll put it in a different way. Do your family members kiss you on the cheek on your birthday? Question was allowed. The psychologist also, after some drama, allowed the question, and the victim says yes. I said, what did you do after the boy, who was also again a minor, kissed you? Did you immediately go to your home and tell it to your parents, or did you go to the police station? She said, nothing. My father saw these pictures. We were taking pictures while kissing each other on the cheek, and my father saw the picture on the phone. Then see, the child comes out with a statement that we were taking pictures, consent, but consent of a minor doesn't matter. So here I am trying to again give direction to the court that this was just a casual, friendly kiss on the cheek, doesn't attract. This was not the intention of the legislature while coming out with Section 8. The participants, you will appreciate that immediately this happened, I then got the direction ki papa nahi karwaiye FIR, it's clear. And then the child told us everything, that we love each other, we want to marry each other, my father is after him. Acquittal. Again an acquittal. So you have to be sensitive. You have to devise your strategies. Now, to examine and cross-examine a child, you have to make sure that the questions that you put forward to the child, or the question you put forward in a criminal trial, they have to be completely leading. In this case, the allegations were also about wrongful confinement, that I was confined in a room. I put question to the late 15-year-old, 16-year-old child that you were confined in a room. Is it correct? She said yes. I said, did the room have any, I said, how many times do you go to your washroom in a given day? She says 2 times, 3 times. Okay, I said, okay, good. I have read the site plan. I have seen the site plan. I have seen the crime scene, alleged crime scene. The washroom is at least 20 meters apart from the room. I asked her, is it confirmed? I'm sure you know. See the demeanor, the tonal demeanor. Participants, it's important. Your tone, your demeanor. यहाँ पे वहाँ पे बिल्कुल robot बन के नहीं खड़े हो सकते कि आप बताओ ये ऐसे. No. Do not learn advocacy from movies and shows that you watch. Never watch movies and shows where you are taught advocacy. It will ruin careers. I'm telling you on record. I hope this gets viral across India, because students and various students across law schools are now learning art of advocacy from the show which was on the television. कि वो एक ही केस है उस पे, वो लड़की पे, और उस पे वो कौन था, ये कौन सा शो था सर अभी जो आया था इस पे बड़ा फेमस हो गया, जिसमें वो टैक्सी ड्राइवर मर्डर कर देता है, सो कॉल्ड. I totally forgot the name. पता लो क्या नाम था.
Yes sir.
Criminal Justice. criminal justice.
Criminal justice.
Now you will have multiple cases. वो नहीं है कि वो बैग टांगे वो पूरे दिन वो वहीं पे वो खुद ही उसने क्राइम सीन पे भी जाके ब्लड भी कलेक्ट कर लिया, वेपन भी ढूंढ ली, आतंकवादियों के पास भी चले गया, गुंडों के not like this. This is not the way. Never learn these things. When I say go to the crime scene, 5 मिनट दूर से कुछ देख लिया तो देख लिया, ये नहीं कि वहां जाके घर पे हाउस ट्रेसपास करके आज आप सीख के जा रहे हो मेरे से कि संजय वशिष्ठ ने कहा था छलांग लगाओ सीधा छत से अंदर क्राइम सीन पे. नो, this is not what I meant. दूर से सीखो, दूर से चलो. Now this is something to avoid. Now you will always have opportunities, ample opportunities to read the crime scenes are almost always properly photographed. You will always have photographs also. Now Sushant Singh Rajput पे लोगों के expert evidence आने शुरू हुए. Rakhi Sawant testified yesterday that he came into my dream, he has told me who's the criminal. Then somebody says something. Crime scenes are always photographed. You have ample opportunities to cross-examine anybody. You have enough reports. I was making a point, sir. Where was I before I started this thing, criminal justice wali?
Sir, we were vulnerable court. So we were doing vulnerable witness in vulnerable courts.
Now, in that case, I asked the victim, how many times did you go to the washroom on the alleged date of confinement? She said 3 times. Now, right before this question, she said, I was confined in a room. What is confinement? I asked her, is there a lock in the room? Yes, there was a lock. I could not open it. I asked her, were there 5 windows outside the room? Yes, there were 5 windows. She couldn't yell. You know, there was a love story, nothing. The immediate effect was a discharge. The court discharged my client. The victim first acknowledged father's point. Then second, she was going to the washroom, which was anywhere outside the room. Make sure you read the charge sheet properly. Interpret and reinterpret every fact. It's very important. Time is limited. कोर्टों के पास टीवी सीरियल की तरह नहीं होता कि एक ही केस चल रहा है पूरे 2-3 साल तक, वो जज भी उसी को सोच रही हैं और वो वापस नहीं. Not like this. Courts are very, very busy. You have to be, and you have to make your own reputations. If you start putting frivolous questions which do not make sense, which are outside the scope of investigation, outside the scope of inquiry before the court, you are going to be discredited as a counsel participant. It's very, very important that you put forth correct, robust chronological questions. Your voice should be such. मैंने बहुत काउंसिल्स देखे हैं, आवाज ही नहीं निकल रही है. क्या क्वेश्चन था, सुनाई दिया. वो जब तक वो आंसर कोई देगा वो सुनाई नहीं देता. Make sure your voice is such. I personally feel I can deliver a lecture in an auditorium without a mic. Have this confidence. Your voice should be very robust when you put questions too. Most important point is, which I will fail in my duty if I do not highlight today. Suggestions. Does anybody know what suggestions mean in a given trial? What is the role of a suggestion? I was in 2013, my father then requested me. My father was not feeling very well. He said, okay, today you go and stand with the prosecutrix. This is a case, rape matter. You go there and stand with make sure that the victim or the witness is not harassed. I said, okay, very well. We will not harass you, and I will make sure that the victim or the witness is not harassed. I go to the court. I saw that the defense lawyer was making many suggestions to the witness. Let me explain you what a suggestion is. You can do it both in civil and criminal trials, participants. Let's say in the Apple matter, the A versus B bilateral dispute, which we discussed at the beginning or the commencement. I want to tell my story. I may have my facts. I know what has happened. I can tell the witness. I can put forth suggestions. Is it true and correct? Is it true that is it right to suggest that the day when the apples were being loaded onto the truck, it was very humid and the apples were stored outside for the entire night? I am giving suggestions. Suggestions will enable the court to understand your story. There is an alternative. You should always give suggestions. You may also be examined or cross-examined in your personal capacity. But otherwise, you can always go to the court. You can always give suggestions to the witness. See, मेरा कहना ये है कि आपने ही क्राइम करा क्योंकि आपको प्रॉब्लम थी कि इनका बिजनेस ज्यादा अच्छा चल रहा है, आपके कंपेटिटर थे. You are now through suggestions prescribing a motive which may not come out in the charge sheet. Motive is not always essential, but it's a very, very important aspect in certain criminal trials. So through suggestions, you may give motive. Through suggestions, you will do many things. In the bank manager case, I gave so many suggestions to the investigating officer. I said, आपने इसलिए फंसा दिया कि आप न्यूज़ बनाना चाहते थे या ये एक एक्टिविस्ट था ये था. You give your suggestions. You give motive through suggestions. You highlight your narrative or story. This is the role of suggestions. Suggestions are very important in all criminal trials. I'm sure my senior Mr. Kapil Sankala and Mrs. Meghna Sankala, they are both fantastic criminal lawyers, will elaborate on this issue tomorrow. But now you are well equipped to understand their stories and their narratives tomorrow. And lastly, always remember, you need a lot of peace of mind. Do not take multiple matters on the day when you have to examine or cross-examine witnesses. Do not do multiple cases. Just do 1 or 2 matters that day. Procedurally, witness such trials. There are many trials. O.J. Simpson trial, many trials on YouTube. Learn the art through experience. Go to the courts, sit in a criminal trial, go and observe trial proceedings. And I also invite Zia sir to send me 2 volunteers as soon as the court reopens for experiences in such vulnerable witness courts and trials. I do a lot of trials from murder to special trials. We'll be happy to accommodate to such sincere participants and students. That is our offer. And trial is everything. Examination and cross-examination is everything. You can win a weak case, lose a strong case. This is how it is. So let me know if you have any questions now.
Yes, sir. First question is from Preeti. She is asking, under civil cases, for every new evidence, do we need to take a permission to from a court by way of affidavit? We have seen the practice of filing affidavit in civil court. So, sir, basically what happened in civil court, people file affidavit every time for the witnesses. So she's asking, this is a process we have to follow every time, that we have to file a affidavit and then only we'll call up the witness for the examination.
Sir, you can always seek the permission of the court to examine additional witnesses. If your examination is over, you may always re-examine witnesses. And to introduce new evidence, yes, you can call a new witness. Trials are always flexible. In criminal cases, you can insert new evidence even at the appellate stage. So it doesn't make any difference.
Sir, another question is, what you will say the difference between leading question and suggestions? How can you differentiate leading questions and suggestions?
So, good question. Leading question is put directly to the witness to extract their testimony. Just leading question क्या हुआ? I hope I can use some Hindi here and there to better explain how the questions work. देखिए ये बात ठीक है ना कि जब रात के 11 बजे थे 26 जनवरी को, उस दिन बहुत ज्यादा फॉग था, स्मॉग था, तो विजिबिलिटी जाहिर सी बात है कम ही रही होगी ना, हाँ या ना? आपने विटनेस से यहाँ अब विटनेस कह रहे नहीं, मैंने तो देखो, मैं तो 500 मीटर दूर भी देख लेता हूँ, मैं तो 1 किलोमीटर भी देख लेता हूँ, मेरी आंखों के अंदर टेलीस्कोप लगा हुआ है, मैं चंद्र ग्रहण 6 महीने पहले पता लगा। आप फिर अपनी सजेशन दोगे? देखिए, इट इज माय सजेशन कि ये विटनेस हॉस्टाइल है, ये झूठ बोल रहा है, क्योंकि जब विजिबिलिटी एज पर न्यूज रिपोर्ट 50 मीटर थी, द विटनेस कुड नॉट हैव सीन 300 मीटर। अगर ये चीज नहीं आएगी तो कोर्ट को कभी पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि आप ऐसी न्यूज रिपोर्ट भी लेके आए थे। समझे आप डिफरेंस? आप अपना पर्सपेक्टिव कोर्ट को बता रहे हैं, फिर आप उसको एग्जिबिट भी मार्क करा देते हैं कि न्यूज रिपोर्ट एग्जिबिटेड है। वो एक टेक्निकल पार्ट है, वो बाद में हम बताएंगे। आई होप दिस आंसर। सजेशन इज टू पुट फोर्थ योर पर्सपेक्टिव।
Exactly. So another question is from Shivangi. She is saying, sir, as a lawyer, how can we challenge or we can question the knowledge of expert? How is it possible that we can challenge the expert opinion?
You can challenge the expert opinion. Very, very good question. I am so proud of all the participants. They are very smart. I am very happy. It's always a pleasure to come before such a smart set of participants. I think you may find counter research on these aspects. You can find research from John Hopkins. अभी किसी का एक मैं ट्रायल कर रहा था पेटेला फ्रैक्चर के ऊपर, मैंने पूरी पीएचडी कर डाली। आई वेंट टू हार्वर्ड मेडिको लीगल जर्नल, आई स्टडीड समथिंग फ्रॉम न्यू साउथ वेल्स यूनिवर्सिटी एंड ऑल। You study the academic research on that topic, then question the expert on that research. Expert says the patella fracture can only happen with a very, very strong blow, with a hammer or with a blunt object. These studies, on the contrary, showed that if somebody is deficient with vitamin D, their bone marrow and their, so on and so forth is weak, it can fracture even on a slightest fall. This is how I contradicted the expert. I showed him. I said, see, I am not saying this. The top doctor from the United States of America, this is the research, and this is how you do it. He had to acknowledge it. So this is how you cross-examine experts.
Sir, another is a request from the participants. Sir, please, why don't you write your experiences in a book? So that is a request from our side also.
I will, if I write these experiences in a book, I will have to quit practice.
So, no, but we will be facing this. We will see.
My participants, my book on criminology will come out, Eastern Book Company, very, very soon.
Yes.
And you may gain certain practical insight. Eastern Book Company is publishing. It's in the process of printing now. It will come out in August 2020. And sir, Zia sir, I will request the Eastern Book Company to give you some free copies for students who will not be able to afford. It's a costly book. I will request them to provide you with the set of books so as to give it to underprivileged students. It's my humble request. Thank you, sir.
Sir, one question is this. At the end of the cross-examination, certain questions are put like it is a wrong to suggest or not. So how to, basically question is how to end your cross-examination, right?
This is the suggestion. This is it. Is it wrong to suggest that you had a vendetta, you wanted to marry her, but you could not marry her, so you threw acid on her? You are giving motive. This is, so when they say it is wrong, it is written in the form of a suggestion. This is it.
Another question is from Achut. He's asking, she's asking, can you ask to check the court record to make sure that the statement is correctly taken?
Okay, I don't know what you exactly mean, but see, if your witness does, there are cases when the witnesses are summoned after 1 year of the examination. In such cases, under 159 Evidence Act, you can get the memory refreshed. There is a procedure to have the memory refreshed. Now, in such situations, you can always refresh. You can show the document to the witness.
The next question is from Prachi. Does a chance witness profession affects his credibility in the court?
Does the
chance witness? So, does a chance witness profession? What do you mean by profession? I don't know. Basically, it said, what is the credibility of a chance witness? We can say this.
Chance witness. Who is a chance witness?
Sir, basically, this is a term basically used when a person has been, we can say eyewitness. It is an eyewitness. Present on the spot by chance, by luck.
Oh, okay. So the chance witness is just a term. Then the chance witness is a witness. Why do we call it chance? It's very fancy. So why witness? Now all these people we were discussing were allegedly chance witnesses only.
Exactly. It's a pure, very credible witness.
Very nice witnesses, lovely witnesses. You love these witnesses.
We love these witnesses. Any person who want to ask any question directly to the sir, he can raise or she can raise his hand. I can unmute her and she can directly, or he can directly.
Yeah. Please.
Raise the question to sir. If any person is interested, please raise your hands. So by that time, I would like you to explain us. So suppose a particular person has entered for the first time as a practicing advocate. So what you will advise him to how he should start what I have seen in my life, that when we enter into the courtroom, it's very hard to examine or cross-examine the witness. So what is the first technique that can be given or delivered to these people, so that whenever they start their career, they can understand, actually, this is the first step that I should take to start examination or cross-examination?
Okay, I personally feel that it is a myth when people say if you have a family background, you do better. No, yes, maybe, but I don't know. So many trials started when I was already in practice, like vulnerable witness courts, POXCO and all. You just sit in the court. Do not roam around with your friends or, have a coffee. Get inside the courtroom, sit there and observe how things are done. Usually वहाँ पे बहुत भीड़ होती है, तो आप भी खड़े हो जाओ किसी के साथ जाके. मैंने तो बहुत ऐसा किया है. I just stand with a prosecutor, जाके request कर लो कि सर, मैं इसमें कोई शर्म नहीं है. जाके request कर लो कि सर, I want to learn, can I stand with you please? मैं चुपचाप फाइलें पकड़ लो. Senior को बोल दो कि सर हम आपकी फाइलें भी उठाएं. You have to learn. And that is there is no, you don't need to feel embarrassed or, shy away from these aspects. You will always learn. Apna kaan khol ke rakho, court mein baithe ho, pay attention to the presiding officer, see how it is being recorded, you will learn. There is nothing wrong with that.
Right. I am unmuting Rohini. You can ask the question to sir.
Yeah, hello, sir. Actually, I'm just started my practice. So I had a certain situation in which the complaint
Rohini,
was not very strong, but
I have unmuted you. Please, you can ask the question.
hello.
Sir, I'm hearing. Yeah, I hear you. Rohini, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the complaint was not really direct on rape, but the 164 she talks about how it's a rape case, and I'm from the victim. So
You are from the victim.
pardon?
You are from the victim.
Yes, from the victim side.
Recording.
And the defense counsel kept saying that your complaint does not have it and all that, and she said I was very shy to talk about it. When I went to the police, there was no lady officer over there, so I couldn't really write about it. But in my 164 in front of the magistrate, I've talked about it. I have spoken to the police and given my additional statements, which I have very strongly talked about it. So how does does that make the case weak? Because
We live in a very different world now. I have done so many cases as well. Now it doesn't change. Disconnected. I received a call. I'm sorry. Just am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
But am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh no, sir. Sorry. So participants. Sorry, I was answering that. I think it does not decrease the credit. 64. If it was recorded in 164, it doesn't matter. 161 statement doesn't make a lot of difference.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
Next question is from.
And there are many other factors at play. There are many other factors at play. So don't worry.
Okay.
We are taking another question from Geet Malani. Please, you can ask the question. I was just unmuting you. She is lost. Shivangi, I am unmuting you. Please, you can ask the question.
Sir, it's out of the topic, but as you said, POCSO, sir, I have seen the cases in Juvenile Justice Board that the victims, where the victims don't allow to do medical tests in rape. Then how will you prove that the rape has been occurred or not?
You have answered your own question, I think, Shivangi. I think the only way is to then prove it through other evidences, direct evidences, witnesses. There are so many cases which I have done. It usually leads to an acquittal in such case. But doesn't mean you should give up. One should at least try. Try and get other facts. See if there are CCTV cameras, witnesses. See if the previous and subsequent conduct of the victim. See if the victim immediately reported this. See if the victim went to the home. Medical test has been a problem. The nature of medical test has also evolved. But this is a serious issue. There are cases where victims don't want to have the medical examination done. But adverse inference of guilt cannot be drawn in such circumstances. People often tend to, defense lawyers will then use it to their benefit, obviously.
Okay, so next question is Geet Malini. I'm asking you, I'm unmuting you, Geet Malini. You can ask the question, please.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
सर थैंक यू फॉर एनलाइटनिंग अस. आपका सेशन बहुत ही अच्छा था. आपने जो बताया शायद बुक में भी नहीं मिलेगा हमें. इट वाज रियली गुड. सर आई वांट टू आस्क यू सर, ट्रायल के बारे में जो आपने बताया वो कुछ अवेलेबल है नेट पे जो हम देख सकते हैं, जो एक्चुअल ट्रायल बताया या फिर किताब कोई है जिससे हम सीख सके? लाइक बिकॉज आई एम इन एलएलबी फाइनल ईयर और अभी कोरोना वायरस की वजह से हमारा जो भी कोर्ट का सेशंस था वो सब बंद हो गया, जा नहीं सकते हम. So can I get any help from any YouTube thing or any book which speaks about actual trials and all?
I personally, I don't know any. Everything is theoretical. It's very difficult to find such practical examples. And I think it's very hard to decipher what has been written in the form of a book when it comes to such seminars. But personally speaking, I don't know if there are any practical books which will talk about such illustrations. There are some publication houses which would usually do it, but not to the best of my knowledge. Nothing that I know of right away. But if I find any, I will let Zia sir know about the same, and he will inform you.
Sure, sir. Next question is from Preeti. Preeti, you can ask the question. Yes.
हेलो
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Preeti.
हाँ सर, मेरा ये सवाल है कि आप जैसे आप भी एडवोकेट हैं जो एक बहुत अच्छे शहर के दिल्ली के होंगे या मुंबई में, ये लोअर कोर्ट में भी क्या इस तरह के कंडक्ट होते हैं ट्रायल जैसा हम लोग पढ़ते हैं बुक्स में? क्या आपको लगता है ऐसा है? और दूसरा सवाल, आपने ऑक्सफोर्ड और कनाडा यूनिवर्सिटी से किया है, स्पेशलाइजेशन भी किया है, क्या वहाँ की क्रिमिनोलॉजी और इंडिया के क्रिमिनोलॉजी में कुछ अंतर है या क्या अंतर है, वो हमें थोड़ा सा बताइए।
तो फर्स्ट का आंसर मैं देता हूँ, बिकॉज लोअर कोर्ट का एक्सपीरियंस मैं सर को छोटे गांव में ये चलता नहीं चलता, उसका आंसर संजय सर मैं देता हूँ, और उसका बाद का आंसर संजय सर दिल गए। तो फॉर योर काइंड इन्फॉर्मेशन, राइट नाउ आल्सो आई एम सिटिंग इन माय फादर्स ऑफिस व्हिच इज अ रेवेन्यू तहसील को, दिस इज माय फादर्स ऑफिस। So I tell you one thing, this process really work everywhere. So I am talking about a quasi-judicial court. Let it be a judicial court also. I am working about quasi-judicial court where the foundations of evidence does not apply. Still, they follow the process. So these are the norms which not only in Delhi, works everywhere. Or if it is not been working there, so if you know them, so you can force to work it because it is based upon some natural justice. So nobody will be getting differ from natural justice. It works everywhere. Next question will be answered by sir. So now you asked about criminology of.
See, I have been to, I have worked in Delhi, but please understand, as a trial lawyer, I have practiced almost in many states, in different states, in some high-profile matters. We do travel. I have conducted trials in Faridabad, Bhopal District Court, and Aligarh, and all some big matters, and we go there. जहाँ तक भी देखा है हमने कि कोर्ट के अंदर ही घुस गए हैं, कई बार मतलब बदमाशी हो जाती है, बहुत सारी चीजें हो जाती हैं, we will tell you some other time, weapons भी आ जाती हैं, many things happen, but you can make it happen, you can fix them. It doesn't mean कि वो कहीं है तो उसको एक्सक्यूज है कि ये तो हमने देखा है उस मूवी में गैंग्स ऑफ वसेपुर में कि वहीं पे बंदूक लेके आ रहे हैं हम, नहीं, not like this. You are a lawyer, law is uniform, and I say this in all seriousness. हम जहाँ जाते हैं हम उसको दिल्ली का ही बना देते हैं। ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि वो वहां गए हैं तो जी कि नहीं आप हमारे हिसाब से चलोगे। हम कहते हैं भाई जो प्रोसीजर है उसके हिसाब से चलोगे, किसी के हिसाब से नहीं चलोगे। प्रोसीजर इज इक्वल फॉर एवरीवन।
एग्जैक्टली। संजय सर तो अभी भी जयपुर को अपना बना के आ रहे हैं ना, जयपुर और वो भी अपना बना रहे हैं। तो आई एम नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज फ्रॉम इमरान। सो वी वांट टेक 10 we will take 10 minutes of yours more because there are so many questions coming. And we will spare you. We know you have a very hectic day, but one or two question more. Imran, you can ask the question from sir.
Thank you very much, Zia sir, and hello Sanjay sir. It was a very good session, and I'm a final year student, and I got to learn more about
Imran. I am sir, give me 1 minute break in that case. Let me just get some water. I'm just coming back. A minute.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sir is actually he's somewhere working. Let him take it some time. We will come to it. Hopefully this session was you could like this session.